Okay, so I didn't put a post in the Facebook group, but I thought I thought about it during the day, and I thought, well, we've sort of been on a bit of a journey where, hi Lucy, where we've done, yeah. So we did the root chakra, which is all about being. Oh, here's Sarah. Um, Hi Sarah, how are ya? You good? Yeah, she's muted, so that's all good. Say hi in the chat. Hi Lucy. So basically we started with, yeah, okay, start again. Root chakra, all about grounding, Mula Bandha Dara, I can't remember the name of it, doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. And obviously we looked at connection to chronic conditions of the lower limbs. And then we moved into the sacral chakra, which is all about connection, creativity, pleasure, connection to self, enhanced sexual energy, manifestation. So, like, it's known that if you have good sexual energy in the lower chakra area of the sacral, and it's represented by the color orange, then you have uh, good ability for manifestation and abundance. Because if you're activated in that area, which is, like, if you think about it, the root chakra is all about survival. But one of the elements of our survival is money. And if money comes into the sacral chakra, then if you're really strongly activated the sacral, then obviously flow, not obviously, but flow and abundance becomes a really much easier thing to have happen. And then you move into the solar plexus. And the solar plexus is all about self-worth. So as we talked about sacral chakra, physical conditions of the sacral chakra, things to do with your cervix, your ovaries, reproductive organs. And then you move into the solar plexus, and it's really fascinating because the solar plexus is connected to your musculoskeletal system. And in meta health, which is based on science, we know that if you've got an issue around self-worth, not feeling good enough, self-devaluation, not feeling strong enough, not feeling capable enough, and that could be literally or metaphorically, then your solar plexus is out, and that shows up in your musculoskeletal system. So you may have things around performance, needing to perform, feeling like if you can't perform, then you're not good enough, and all that kind of carry on. So that's what that's represented by. Now, it's known that until those three bottom energy centers are activated, and excuse me, but I'm just putting on my Healy, unless those three bottom energy centers are activated, it's not possible to then start to begin to focus into this energy center here, which is the heart space. Because if you think about it, if you don't feel safe, if survival's in question, if you don't feel creative and flow, pleasure, creativity, and you really don't feel worthy enough and good enough, then all of your habits and behaviors in life are driven by these three lower centers. Now, what's really fascinating about the three lower centers is they are very much connected to the ego, which is the left brain, logical brain. And the ego is all about judgment, fear, shame, guilt. All those emotions that you feel are imbalances in those three lower energy centers. And if you think about this, like, this is quite mind-blowing. For instance, people who have had sexual trauma and abuse trauma, like, abuse or neglect from family members or parents or teachers or anything like that, they're people in power that are part of your tribe. And that leads to feelings of shame and unworthiness and not good enoughness. And so until that stuff's healed, then we're still very much driven by the ego. We're still very much driven by judgment, dissent, lack of self-love. And so it's like a bottom-up, top-down experience. So if we can get the bottom three chakras balanced, if we can feel safe and grounded, we can find our tribe, we can love ourselves, we can find time for pleasure, creativity, and fun, then we feel more heart activated. But in theory, really, actually, if we get more activated in our heart space, we can balance out those lower three energy centers. So in other words, if we can find time in our life to experience more gratitude, more joy, more connection, more love, love for the world around us, thankfulness, appreciation, then that in itself is enough to actually then make decisions about who we spend our time with, the things we do for creativity. So in other words, the heart center is the gateway between the lower 3 energy centers and the next 3 up above that. And you know, there's the throat, the third eye, and the crown. And this is where it's really, really fascinating and mind-blowing. When it comes to sexual energy for women, truly, 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 the more heart-centered and connected we are with our partner, the more pleasure we will feel downstairs. Like the more we feel deeply connected, and the more we are able to open up. So in other words, the more open our heart is, the more open our lower sacral chakra is. And we seem to think that it's the other way around. So what the mistake that women have made in relationships, and I've done this myself, is I used to think that if I was sexually involved with a partner, then that would lead to me feeling connection in the heart, and that would get them to like me. When really the truth of the matter is, I feel as women, we actually feel more truly deeply connected with our, and the men are the same. They are more connected to us when they feel our feminine energy, and our feminine energy comes from those lower energy centers. Yeah, awesome, Lucy. So resonating with this. So this activation here is so important for re-grounding in all the lowers. And so sometimes we'll try to re-ground in the lower energy centers through our ego, by judging people. You know, I don't like that person and they make me feel this way, and oh, that person said that and therefore they're a bad person and they don't believe in whatever I believe in, so therefore I can't like them. But actually, when we activate this energy center, we strengthen our tribal connections. So when we build this energy center, we strengthen our connection to the tribe. Go figure. Because what happens is when we're more activated in the heart, we're less judgmental of those around us who trigger us. So if we've got someone in our family that's really gives us a hard time, we're just able to go, this is not about me. This is not about, I'm just going to choose to show empathy. I'm just going to choose to show kindness. I'm just going to choose to love them for who they are. But what's even more interesting is this, the throat and pleasure and female pleasure, like, making sounds is actually what turns the yoni, like the sacral on. So you can imagine, like, you start to build up this, all the focus in these energy centers, and you get to your heart space and you're feeling deeply connected and you're feeling really loved and you're feeling really nurtured. Then you're able to make more sounds through your vocal cords when you're in, you know, self-pleasure or pleasure with someone else. But then that feeds back down into the lower organs. So again, this or the sacral energy. So then again, the heart is the center of all of it. So I'm going to read out the conditions that are represented by the heart energy center. And the thing is, the heart's so, you know, the more you're in your heart space, the better you communicate, because you're coming from a place of authenticity, and you're coming from a place of congruence. I'm going to talk about brain coherence and the heart center in a second. So obviously it's the 4th chakra, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's the heart and circulatory system. It's your lungs. So if you think about it, like in meta health, a description of a lot of lung disorders like pneumonia and bronchial issues and asthma and that can be potentially related to a deep grief, sadness, or loss. So if you think about the function of the lungs is breathing, the breath of life. You know, without lung capacity, you can't breathe, therefore you probably possibly die, you know. So the lungs are connected to the heart chakra energy center. Shoulders and arms. So any conditions of the arms and the shoulders, you know, having to carry burdens in relation to loved ones is potentially going to be represented up in this upper part of the body. Now, It's the ribs and the breasts. No, if you think about the breasts, where does the baby nurture off the mother? It's really close to the heart center off the breast. Now, it's been proven that if a baby, and we know this in womb healing, trauma of birth trauma healing, we know that if a baby's taken off mum's chest straight away at birth, and that first 10 minutes to 45 minutes isn't activated, then the strength of because let me start again. When a mother has a baby, normally vaginal birth without too much intervention, there's a whole wave of natural part of the birthing process is for a whole wave of oxytocin to come into the body, come into the heart space, and oxytocin is the love hormone. It goes into the brain and creates this deep, deep, deep love between mother and child. So when the baby's born, it goes onto mum's heart, and the electromagnetic energy of the heart space, which I'm going to talk about in a second, is enough to send love to the baby. So the baby can feel mum's love vibration, like love frequency, and that's enough. You know, there's a really famous video on YouTube of a woman whose baby had died, and they said, look, we'll just give you time to hold the baby before we take it away. And she placed the baby on her chest, and her love for that baby and holding it, the heart resonance, the electromagnetic resonance of her heart was enough to restart her baby's heart, and her baby survived. And they show this video of this child like 5 years later going, oh, I'm alive. So we know that the frequency, like it's not the heart is not just an organ that pumps blood. The actual energy center, the heart has electromagnetic energy that if you want someone to respond to you differently in this world, you send them out love. So if you've got these babies that are coming onto the heart space and they're being nurtured by mum straight after birth, then that's a baby that's far more grounded, safe, connected, loved, feels nurtured, less anxious. And if you think about the breasts, which are located to the heart space, they're all about nurture. So a lot of women with breast conditions like breast cancer, it's related to issues around nurturing, like loss of a loved one, loss of a child, fear or worry, conflict around a child or a parent, or something to do with what we nurture. So it makes sense that if you look at women who have got a lot of heartbreak or anxiousness around children, separation from children, unresolved trauma around separation from their child, grief, sadness, loss in relation to their children or their mothers or their parents, then you're going to see the breast issues or also heart stuff. What else? The diaphragm and the thymus gland. And I have no idea where the thymus gland is, so we won't worry about that. Now, the mental and emotional issues, love and hatred, reside in the same place. We know that if someone desperately hates someone else, it's because they're heartbroken. This person has broken their heart. Resentment and bitterness. Because you think about it, if you're resentful and bitter, your heart is closed off. It's completely closed off. Grief and anger. What is grief? It is another form of heartbreak. You know, the loss of a relationship, the loss of a loved one. Self-centeredness. So narcissism, for instance, is people who have got closed off heart spaces. So they are so in fear of being demoralized, put down, made to look a fool, lose their power, fear of not being good enough, that they will go to the extreme in terms of control, power, force as a means to protect themselves from anyone ever hurting them again. And it usually comes from some unresolved trauma in childhood where they felt neglected by one or both parents. Loneliness and commitment, again, heart chakra issues. So this is why it's so important to practice creativity, sacral, doing things that make you feel good about yourself, finding things that make you feel good about yourself, solar plexus, which lead to the activation of the heart space, loneliness and commitment. As tribal creatures, we're meant to be in community and tribe. So that's why it's important to find a tribe that we can connect to. Even if it's just 2 people, doesn't matter. We've got to find our tribe. Forgiveness and compassion reside in the heart space. So the ability to forgive reside in the heart space, and the ability to show kindness and compassion. And then last of all, hope and trust. So, and when we can have hope and trust for the world around us and find a reason to have hope and trust, then we are more activated in the heart space. I think my head is up too high. Now, these are the physical dysfunctions of the heart space. Congestive heart failure. Well, no wonder, because your heart tube valves are blocked. Myocardial infarction, which is heart attack. You know, when you look at a lot of middle-aged men in stressful businesses who have heart attacks, it's often to do with unresolved grief, sadness, and loss. So they've got something that's happened to them in their lives that they haven't resolved, okay? Mitral valve prolapse, well, you know, cardiomyopathy, cardiomegaly, asthma, allergies, I said that, you know, that's all about grief, you know, breath of life, lung cancer. Lung cancer is extreme grief, sadness, and loss. Now, this is where it blew my mind. Bronchial pneumonia. Now, my dad had bronchial pneumonia and he almost died, and he spent 80 days in ICU. And the reason is because he had never resolved the grief of the loss of his son. His son died, my brother died when he was 15 years old. And dad had never grieved. Never grieved. Like, can you imagine the heartbreak of your only son dying in your care? Because my brother died in the care of my father and me while my mum was away on holiday. And so there's two aspects there. There's the grief and the sadness and the heartbreak of losing your son. But then there's also the shame, because remember I said what's going on in here is triggered by those lower energy centers. But then there's the shame of losing his son under his care. So he got significantly severe bronchial pneumonia. Upper back and shoulders, which is all connected in, and breast cancer. Amazing, eh? I'll take a photo of that and put it in the group. How are we all feeling about that info? I rattled that out at super quick pace. Any aha moments? What do you all think of that? Right. Yeah, lots of sense, eh? Yeah, okay, listen to this. It's really fascinating. Even before we are born, the first 3 chakras start functioning and will be active forces behind most people's lives. Many will never have goals any higher than the basic drives surrounding sex, money, power, prestige, fame, security, and comfort. And for many, these issues will revolve around sex. People seek recognition, fortune, power, possessions, beauty, and bodily enhancements in order to obtain sexual partners. On these partners falls the responsibility to fulfill the rest of the lower chakras: desires, home, food, security, relationship, and love. Oh, interestingly, that's really interesting, because if they're taken off your chest at early, like not even put on your chest straight away, you don't go through the bonding phase. So it's harder to create a closer connection with that child. And quite often the mother will claim, oh, I just didn't have a bond with that child. Oh, I just didn't feel connected. The issues of the first 3 chakras endlessly seduce, memorize, and fascinate us. And most therapeutic counseling focuses on those bottom 3 energy centers. Gossip is an ancient technique for distracting ourselves by keeping the focus on the first, second, and third chakra issues. Wowzers. Traditional spiritual teachers instruct us to bypass these 3 chakras and take energy directly into the heart chakra or higher. Above the anahata, there are 3 chakras. So this is the anahata. Chakras concerned with spiritual evolution. Vishuddha, which is your throat. Ajna, which is your third eye. And Sahasrara, which is your crown, right? Now, the heart chakra functions as the bridge between the drives, which I said that already. At this threshold, the energy of compassion and loving kindness draws us upward into higher spiritual dimensions. So in other words, when we are trying to get more of what we want in life, get rid of the need for the drive for the job, the career, the sex, the partner, the money, and go, what do I want to feel instead? Joy, connection, passion, play, fun. But you can connect to it from here up. You don't have to focus on those lower 3 energy centers. Because this has electromagnetic energy, you can force it back down into the lower or up into the upper. It's represented by the energy of the air. Okay. Now, there was one other thing I wanted to read. Where is it? Oh, excuse me. Okay. The primary fears aroused in this chakra are of loneliness, fear of loneliness, but also a fear of commitment. Check that dichotomy out. Fear of loneliness, but fear of commitment. Being able to protect ourselves emotionally, emotional weakness, and betrayal. Loss of fourth chakra energy can give rise to jealousy, bitterness, anger, hatred, and an inability to forgive others as well as ourselves. The primary strengths to draw on are forgiveness, compassion, dedication, inspiration, hope, trust, and the ability to heal ourselves and others. Within every one of us resides misconceptions about who we are. We all have traces of dysfunctional self-image, patterns of negative thinking, and painful memories that have accrued throughout our life experiences. Even though we may recognize these thoughts as unhealthy, until we transform them, they will damage our health, relationships, and professional lives. Now listen to this. Practicing yoga enables us to begin releasing the wounded aspects of the self that wield authority over our thoughts. And then it says here, to understand everything is to forgive everything. When we free ourselves and heal most quickly, through the power of forgiveness. I'm taking you through a forgiveness process tonight. To release the injuries of the past, we must care enough for the priority of our spiritual development to forgive. Through forgiveness, we clear our minds of the control that past wounds have over us. We do it for ourselves and not for those who wounded us. In other words, when we choose not to forgive someone or something from our past, including ourselves, that is like drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. Yeah? Drinking the poison and expecting the other person to die. We do it for blah, 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 blah. Although this process probably helps them as well, it does. Forgiveness helps the other person. Mahatma Gandhi said, to forgive is not to forget. The merit lies in loving in spite of the vivid knowledge that one that must be loved is not a friend. The merit lies in loving in spite of vivid knowledge that the one that must be loved is not a friend. Releasing our resentment, anger, and hatred through forgiveness frees the mind. Yep. The spiritual path can be perceived as a crazy and selfish path by the tribal mind. From his family's perspective, the Buddha abandoned them and his position as king in his search for spiritual enlightenment and the realization of compassion and loving kindness for all beings. The sacred truth of the fourth chakra is that love is the true power that will enable us to attain our goals. While the world assumes that force, might, and violent aggression are the most potent powers on earth, they can never guide our consciousness into true source of its own power. So we're going to do a few processes today to release forgiveness, and then we're going to do a meditation to activate the heart. So hopefully you've got your pens and paper. What I want you to do is think about things or people in your life right now or in the past that have hurt you or wounded you, or that you're judging and then you're struggling to let it go. So where's my journal? So things, people, or situations from your past, or even in relation to you, that you are struggling to let go of, or that you're judging. And just write that down. Write it down and write what it is and why it is. So write down what is let's just start with one person to start with. And then I want you to write down what you're feeling about them. Like what lower emotions, anger, annoyance, hatred. What is it that you're feeling towards that person? What is it you're feeling towards that person? Next thing you want to do is write down why you feel that way. So, for instance, it could be, they don't listen to what you say. You feel like they don't value you. They don't take your opinion into account. They judge you, whatever it is. But just think about that. So, once you've done that, let me know. Yep, cool. Oh, that's so interesting, Lee, your eldest, because he was sick when he was born and you didn't get him for ages. Yeah, wow. Right, now I want you to, this is going to require you to tune in a little bit because we've done this many times before, but we're going to get you to tune in to your emotions. And I want to ask you this question. If you chose to let go of all of these feelings towards this person, what's the downside or what's the fear or resentment to letting go? Sorry, what's the fear or resistance to letting go of these feelings towards this person? So if you're no longer angry, annoyed, hateful, rageful, resentful, disliking this person, what's the downside to that? Could be things like, I had to take full responsibility for the part I played. It's things like, this is what clients say to me: I would have to like them again. Not necessarily true. They might hurt me again if I don't carry this anger or rage towards them. If I'm kind to them, then they might try to manipulate me again, or how am I going to protect myself from them if I'm not mean to them? So tune into the reason why there's resistance to letting go of the lack of forgiveness. Things like, I let them get away with it if I forgive them. Could be that you lose your power if you forgive them. It could be that you feel as though you lose your strength in forgiving them. What might be some of the reasons why there's resistance to letting them go? Like forgiving them, I should say. Yeah. But here's what's going to happen, Sarah. When we are no longer judging them or disliking them or hating them or whatever, we're actually less affected by their behavior. See, when we stay in lack of forgiveness and resentment and anger and hate towards a person, we're keeping the energy of their behavior alive within us. So if I choose to just move on and not give a shit anymore and just be kind and accept that what they're doing is about them, not me, then um, then I'm setting myself, how do I say this? I'm less affected when I no longer choose to judge them. I give myself peace. So there's two things we're going to do. What is the downside to letting it go? And then secondly, what's the benefit in continuing? If you can't answer it that way, what's the benefit to continuing to hold on to the way you feel about them? What's the benefit to holding on to this anger, resentment, judgment, dislike? What's the benefit? What's the benefit? Makes you feel more powerful, makes you feel like you're in control, makes you feel like you're protected, makes you feel like you have won over them. I don't know, whatever it might be. Got my power back. Has everyone got an answer to those two questions? Yep. Cool. Cool, Lucy. Yep. So, we're going to go through a process of forgiveness. I need from all of you, do you give yourself permission to let go and forgive this person? Do you give yourself permission to let go and forgive this person? Cool. Awesome. So now here's my next question for you. What do you gain in forgiving them? So what will you gain in forgiving them? I want you to think about that for a minute. Because remember, when you let go of resentment, anger, rage, lack of forgiveness, you're coming out of your ego and into your heart. So tell me, what do you gain in forgiving them? What do you gain? Yes, peace and calm. So here's what we're going to do. We'll do a quick round of tapping before I take you through this prayer of forgiveness. So just closing your eyes down for a second, putting your pens down. Start to take some deep, slow breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. And just bring your attention into what part of your body you feel the anger or resentment towards this person. Whereabouts in your body do you feel this anger or resentment towards this person? And find it in your body, all this hatred, all this judgment, and really get yourself to feel it. Feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it, feel it in your body. Bring it up and be like, just hate them. Can't stand them. They can go get fucked. Excuse my French. But just really allow yourself to feel it. And then start tapping on the side of your hand. Give it a color. Give it a score. And locate it in your body. What am I feeling? Where am I feeling it? What's the score? What's the color? Repeat after me. Even though right now I have this feeling in my body, this emotion towards this person, for all the hurt and pain that has been caused to me in the past. Part of me doesn't want to let this pain go. Part of me is not willing to forgive. I've held on to this feeling for so long. But I'm going to choose to love and accept myself, to release this feeling in my body, no matter what. Even though right now I've got this feeling in my body, this anger, resentment, and hate towards this person that I'm thinking of. Part of me is really resistant to letting it go. It's safer to hold on to it. It helps protect me. But what it's also doing is causing me to feel miserable. I choose to let this feeling go. It's safe to release this feeling. I choose to love and accept who I am, no matter what. This feeling in my body, this anger, rage, and resentment, I don't feel safe to let it go. I don't want to let this go. What if I let go of all this hurt from the past and forgive this person and it affects me again? What if they hurt me again? What if I forgive them and then I let them in because I wasn't being angry and they let me down again? I could choose to believe that I don't need anger and resentment to protect myself and allow myself to feel good. Being angry and resentful towards these people doesn't set me free. All it does is cause me dissent, make me unhappy, and have me feeling bad. I choose to let this go now. All this anger and resentment, it's safe to let it go. It's okay to release it. I choose to release it. This lack of forgiveness, this judgment, this resistance to letting it go. I've had it for so long that I really don't know what life is like when I'm not carrying this emotion. It's safe for me to release this now and set myself free. Take a deep breath into your heart space. So just check in with the energy of that compared to when we started. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get us to activate our heart space. And then once we've activated our heart space, we're going to focus on forgiveness of someone from our past. And we're going to learn to drop into a beautiful, calm, really gracious energy. Yeah, like a really Like when we drop into a beautiful, gracious energy, we just create such beautiful calm in our lives, and we create such, it becomes easy to forgive. But in order to forgive, we need to choose, awesome Lucy, we need to choose to, we need to be in our heart space first before we let go. So what I'm going to do is invite you to close your eyes down and placing your left or right hand on your heart. And just bring your awareness into your body. So just bring some awareness into your body. And just start to breathe slowly and deeply into your heart space because you've got your hand on your heart. I'm going to invite you to think of something in your heart that allows you to feel good. So what is something in your life? It could be, you remember a time you went out for a beautiful meal and it was just so delicious, or someone did something really kind and loving for you and it made you feel really, really good. But really go into your heart space here and use your heart to identify or find a homing thought. Now, a homing thought is something you can use from here on in to allow you to feel grounded and connected in times when you think nothing is working. So when we get into the ego, which means we're disactivated from the heart space and we're judging and resentful and angry, nothing ever goes my way, and I'm not loved and I'm not supported and things don't work for me, that usually means that we are disconnected from our heart space. So we have this thing called a homing thought. And our homing thought is our ability to find something that automatically makes us feel high vibrational, automatically brings us into the energy of love and kindness. So this, what we're creating right now, is your homing thought. So keeping your eyes closed, hand on heart. Just think of something that allows you to feel really, really good. Your homing thought. No, 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 this is, Sarah, it's something different. What is it that makes you feel good? Anything. Anything at all. Good question, Sarah. Really good question. Come into your body and find the thing that allows you to feel really, really good. What is that thing that allows you to feel really, really good? Could be time out with friends, could be just sitting around at a nice meal. Bring that feeling into your heart space. Really bring that feeling into your heart space. All that energy, all that love. Bring it into your heart space. Remind yourself of why that thing made you feel so good. Was it how you were treated? Was it how you were made to feel? What I would do was I would invite you to think about, what were you deciding about life in that moment when you were feeling good? Was it that you felt loved? Was it that you felt connected, supported? What were you deciding about life? What was the belief that you carried? Because if you can make that means something. It's in you. It's in you at any time. Now, what I'm going to get you to do is bring up into your awareness the person that you are struggling with the most. I'm going to get you to take away. Now, we've done this process all together before, but we know that nothing's ever personal, right? So, can you imagine what might be going on for that person that's hurt you, or whatever they said or did? What may have been happening for them that may have caused you to feel this way? What may have been going on for them to cause them to react and be that way? Because there's a story you told yourself. What's the story you told yourself? They did that, therefore I am. They did that, therefore it made me feel I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. I'm not enough. I'm not lovable. I must be perfect to be loved. I'm rejected. They don't care about me. And then I want you to step out of your own ego, come back into your heart and go, put myself in their shoes for a second. What must have been going on for them? Because they were not being driven by love, they were being driven by fear. So, what fear must have been residing for them in their egos for them to treat you that way? And we're going to say the Ho'oponopono prayer, the Hawaiian Ho'oponopono prayer of forgiveness to release our attachments and judgments of them. So, when you're ready, repeat after me. I'm sorry. Imagine they're right in front of you right now, and you're opening your heart space. Open your heart space up, expand your heart energy center, and you're going to say, I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Thank you. I love you. Take a deep breath into your heart space and really soften your energy. And imagine now that that person in front of you, check in to find out where the cords between you and them are linking. Is it into your gut? Is it into your heart? Is it into your head? I want you to imagine cutting those cords. There's no wrong or right way to do this. I want you to, if you could just imagine keeping your eyes closed, but starting to cut the cords between you and them. Starting to cut the cords between you and them. So wherever they are, if it's connected to your sexual energy, if it's connected to your solar plexus, the feeling of not worthiness, if it's connected to your heart, the feeling of heartbreak or hurt, anger, resentment, but just cut those cords. Like I'm sitting with my eyes closed at the moment, just getting rid of those cords, cutting those cords. If you've got a selenite crystal, you can do this another time. It's really like almost feel sadness and a sense of empathy for them. Like I'm really sad for their hurting, for their anger, for their resentment. Just let it all go. See those cords just falling away. You just take some deep breaths into your heart space. And then put yourself in a bubble of white light to protect yourself from them. Couple more deep breaths. Couple more breaths into your heart space. Repeat after me. I choose to release all judgments to those who have hurt me in the past. I release attachments to the need to protect myself with anger. And instead I choose to let go, trust flow, show kindness, and move forward in peace. I choose to believe love can heal. I choose to believe kindness is the way forward. When I vibe higher, no one can lower me. I choose to believe all is well. How does it get any better than this? What else is possible? Deep breath in. I want to imagine that person just fading away into your visual background, just disappearing, fading away. Feel yourself soften and relax. Feel yourself come back to peace in your heart space. Just say thank you. Thank you for the lessons. But I let you go now with love. You're ready, open your eyes. Wow. Shit, that was a bit powerful. Oh. Heavens above. How's everyone feeling before we end the call? Hello, the neck. I really noticed a difference in doing that. I feel so much more at peace. Good stuff, Lucy. How's everyone else feeling? Yeah, awesome. Well done, Lee. I'm glad that helped. And Sarah. Julie is on her phone, so she might not be able to type, but that's it. Oh my goodness. I'm going to go to bed. I think I've got a food coma. Oh, all right, lovelies. Big love to all of you. Yeah, we protect ourselves with anger, Lee, but we're not really protecting ourselves because we're lowering our vibration. All right. Much love to you all. See you all later. Bye. Bye.